In our last video, we were in Charleston, South Carolina, where we walked along the waterfront and the historic Battery. We checked out the historic downtown, took a stroll along King Street, and ended up in the French Quarter. In this video,
we're in Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia is our 8th stop on what we're calling Wanderlust 2022, our epic journey from Kansas to Florida and back again. As usual, let's start this video off with you giving us a little background on this awesome American city.
Savannah is the oldest city in Georgia, established in 1733 along the Savannah River. It was the British colonial capital of the province of Georgia and later became the first capital of Georgia, although it is no longer currently the capital. It was a strategic port during the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. And some fun facts, it's the birthplace of Juliette Gordon Low, founder of the Girl Scouts, and was host for the sailing competitions in the 1996 Summer Olympics, which were based in Atlanta. Current population is just under 150,000.
Obviously, we chose to start this adventure along River Street, which is clearly, for good reason, one of the more popular tourist destinations. And as you can see from the video, we chose to go there quite early in the morning for 2 reasons. One is to avoid said tourist population, and 2, it was going to be well above 100 that day.
This large building on the right is the Marriott Hotel, but it's built in a 1912 power plant. Seemed like such a cool location, and it's at the very end of River Street.
In our previous video, we were in Charleston, and as I was editing this video, it occurred to me that I could pretty much use exactly the same voiceover, as the 2 cities are remarkably similar as far as their historical significance to the United States. As with Charleston, we enjoyed the waterfront, we really enjoyed checking out the historical downtown, and arguably our favorite when we visit the East Coast is checking out the old houses and historically significant buildings.
River Street includes a variety of shops, art galleries, pubs, and restaurants, and these are all housed in former cotton warehouses, some of them being 200 years old. If you'd like to take a tour of the river, you could do it here on the Georgia Queen, a 550-passenger riverboat cruise.
If you've watched any of our other videos, you know that we have a habit of not doing a lot of research ahead of time because we kind of like just to be surprised by what we find. That was difficult for this particular destination because Caroline had been to Savannah in the past, and she's actually the one that insisted that we put this on our destination as we were making our way to Florida. So I asked her to please not tell me anything about it so I could experience it all for the first time. So I cheated a little bit, and on the first day I went out without her and took some video because I wanted to make sure she didn't tell me about everything before I got a chance to see it. But the videos that you're seeing now are actually us walking through this section of town together. And for the record, so I don't sound like some kind of monster, she had a previous work commitment, so it's not like I made her stay in the motel room while I went out and explored on my own.
Yeah, normally I have FOMO, but in this case, because I already had a commitment and because I had been to Savannah before, I was in support of him going out and exploring a little. I love these cobblestone streets, but anything but flat shoes and you are gonna twist an ankle. Here on the left are a series of open-air buildings that house the River Street Marketplace. These buildings have stood since the mid-1800s. We got up early because it's supposed to hit almost triple digits today. We started with River Street, and it's beautiful being down here so early because it's not real crowded. Now we're going to work our way up into the city.
So after an awesome stroll along the waterfront, we decided to go into the city so we could check out the historic downtown, and then we wanted to, as usual, check out some of the old historical homes. So we did downtown first, and then we made our way towards Forsyth Park.
One of the things Savannah's most known for are its 22 squares located throughout the city. And downtown largely retains this original town plan from its founder, James Oglethorpe. This design is now actually known as the Oglethorpe Plan.
We did toy with the idea of trying to visit all of the squares. I think we ended up seeing roughly a dozen of them, and then I'll be honest, we kind of crapped out because it got so hot and humid by the time the afternoon rolled around.
Well, we plan to return not in the summer months, so maybe we will check off all 22 squares. The good news is that the squares did provide trees and shade, and they were just beautiful. Here you see the Telfair family mansion, also known as the Telfair Academy. This is one of the South's first public museums.
Here we are in the heart of the downtown. I believe this is Broughton Street. I mentioned earlier that I went out and did some filming on my own. So the next section is a combination of what I filmed the previous day and then us together on the morning. So you may find, if you're familiar with the city, that things are a little bit out of order because it was really hard to put them back in order. But I think we did a good job of capturing how cool the heart of this downtown really is.
If you've watched any of our other videos, you've seen crest buildings before, like this one. It seems like every Midwest or Southern town we've been in used to have a crest department store.
Yeah, I think it was like the Walmart before Walmart. They're everywhere. This is the second city on this trip where we encountered major construction in the heart of the downtown, the other one being Wilmington, North Carolina.
We see this as a good sign that cities are either maintaining or rejuvenating these wonderful downtowns. Here you see the Marshall House, which is a historic hotel. It dates back to 1851. It was occupied by Union troops from 1864 to 1865 and then used as a Union hospital for wounded soldiers until the end of the Civil War.
We'll return to the downtown shortly, but at this point it was time to check out the more residential parts of the city.
Here is Colonial Park Cemetery. It was established by the Daughters of the American Revolution in 1750 and served as a cemetery from 1750 to 1853. Then 43 years later, in 1896, it became a city park. Here you see the Cathedral Basilica of St. John the Baptist. It was the first building in Georgia constructed of brick and features 81 stained glass windows and 16 gargoyles.
If I recall, there were a lot of churches in Europe that had gargoyles, particularly in Italy. I do not understand the relationship of the gargoyle to church. If anybody watching this knows, maybe let us know.
Okay, Jeff asked a question and I had to know the answer to it, so I Googled it. The purpose of gargoyles was to act as a spout to remove water from the upper part of the building or the roof gutter away from the sides of the walls or foundation to prevent damage. There you go.
So basically rain gutters.
Exactly, but fancier looking.
Like gargoyles. Anyways, let's move on.
Here we are in Lafayette Square, and as we've mentioned in other videos, ghost tours seem quite popular. So if you're interested in ghost tours Savannah takes off from Lafayette Square.
Yeah, I feel like I've been living under a rock or something. I didn't even know that was a thing, and now we see them everywhere that we go. So apparently it's not only a thing, but it must be a lucrative thing, because every city these days seems to be haunted or have some kind of haunted past to it. All right, anyways, we'll move on again.
Yes, let's move on to the Massey School. This is the only remaining building of Georgia's oldest chartered public school system. It was built in 1855 and opened for classes in October of 1856.
So here we are at Forsyth Park. This fountain here goes all the way back to 1858. While the park's certainly not the edge of the city, it was as far as we were willing to adventure. As like I said earlier, it was getting hot and we were ready to start working our way back to the hotel.
Yeah, if you're used to humidity, you're probably laughing at us. But we've spent most of our lives on the West Coast, so this humid climate is new to us.
Yeah, we're doing this voiceover about a month and a half later, and we've been in Florida for that time, so I guess we're getting kind of used to it now. All right, we're currently in Forsyth Park. We started early this morning, so the videos down by the river are long before most things open up. It's getting incredibly hot and humid as we approach the noon hour. So we went to the River District and what we're calling sort of the entertainment shopping area, the old downtown, if you will. And now we're sort of on the outskirt of the heart of the city in this park, and we're going to work our way trying to capture some of the old houses. We know, we say this all the time, we know we're not coming even close to capturing all that these beautiful cities have to offer, but I think we've done a surprisingly good job of capturing the heart of the city, which of course if you watch our videos is the main focus of all of our travels. So let's go check out some of these cool old houses.
Just like in Charleston, I couldn't go more than 2 feet without taking a picture of another gorgeous house.
Yeah, I think we're getting old. I can remember it wasn't that long ago when I could not care less about architecture and houses and things. And now I will say, it might be my favorite part of exploring a new city, especially these awesome cities on the Atlantic coast. Yeah, I took this video here because not only are those houses just fantastic, they're actually staring right at Forsyth Park, so talk about having a great view.
Here we see the Georgia Historical Society. Of note, it's the oldest continually operating historical society in the South.
And check out the house with the 2 different paint jobs. I don't know, maybe it's been converted to condos or something. Very strange, not something we see a lot.
So after a long morning of exploring, it was time for lunch and a cold beverage at New Realm back in downtown.
So here we are back in downtown, and we're working our way back to the hotel on a parallel street to the one we were on earlier. And here we found yet another one of the famous squares. At the end of the street there is Savannah City Hall, built in around 1904, so not quite as old as you'd think it would be. We'll revisit this spot in a moment when we do our wrap-up, but after another grueling 10 or 15 minutes of walking around in the heat, it was time to make our way for another refreshment. By refreshment, I'm talking about, of course, an adult beverage of the local variety.
Yeah, Jeff needs a refreshment either after a half hour or 90 degrees, whichever comes first.
Hydration is important.
Indeed.
So with that said, let's wrap this one up. All right, what did you think of Savannah, Georgia?
I love Savannah. It is so quaint. Love the cobblestone streets, the riverfront area. I give it a huge thumbs up.
Yeah, great riverfront, waterfront, this old downtown, historical downtown, and of course the residential area is just spectacular. So thumbs up from me.
Cheers.
Get off the couch. We'll see you next time.